With the 53rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Hurts.
The misconception about Jalen Hurts is that Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback, that he just came into a delightful situation. He is not Brock Purdy. He did not just come into a delightful situation that was just pleasant and handed to him where he was looking good because of the system. That was not what happened. That's absolutely not. And it's really pissing me off because I'm hearing the media talk about Jalen Hurts like he's some sort of Brock Purdy, and that's the situation he has. That cannot be further. That cannot be absolutely further from the truth. The truth is, he was drafted in the second round in 2020. Came into the Eagles where Carson Wentz was a starter, a team that 3 years earlier had won the Super Bowl, right? In 2020, they had a bummy O-line the year that Jalen Hurts came in. Carson Wentz was one of the most sacked quarterbacks that year. Carson Wentz goes 3-8-1 for the first 12 games. Jalen Hurts steps in. They test him out, right? And he doesn't play that bad. In fact, they trade Carson Wentz the next year. They trade Carson Wentz that offseason. So they trade Carson Wentz. This is a team that goes 4-11-1. The Eagles go 4-11-1, right? So the Eagles go 4-11-1, where Jalen Hurts steps in, wins a game. They trade Carson Wentz that offseason. The next season, in a year where now Brandon Brooks is retired. So one of your best guards in the history of your franchise is retired in Brandon Brooks. The Pro Bowl right guard, right? He's retired now. He was injured all of last season. He's retired. And you're coming into a team with, you don't have a real number one receiver. You have Devontae Smith, who's in his rookie year, right? You have Devontae Smith, who's a rookie. Kes Watkins, Dallas Goedert, who was not that proven yet. Devontae Smith certainly wasn't proven. He was a rookie. You have your O-line. You just lost your best right guard, right? And you just came off of being one of the most sacked teams in the league the year before. The year before, you were just one of the most sacked teams. So nobody's expecting you to do anything. This is 2021, 2 seasons ago. Nobody's expecting you to do anything. Jalen Hurts goes off. Gets them to the playoffs. He gets the Eagles to the playoffs. He goes 8-7 as a starter. Right, yeah, he goes 8-7 as a starter. And Gardner Minshew ended up playing 2 games. He went 1-on-1, but they make it to the playoffs. They go 9-8. They make it to the playoffs. And if you look at his numbers, if you just take a look at Jalen Hurts' numbers here for the season in 2021. In 15 games played, he had 139 attempts, 784 rushing yards, which will beat out Miles Sanders, by the way. He had the most rushing yards on his team. Right? He gives you the most rushing yards in his team. Passing-wise, he gives you 3,144 passing yards. Now, he did only give you 16 touchdowns, but he wasn't that turnover worthy. He was not giving you 9 interceptions. He only gave you 9 interceptions, which completely was the difference in the situation of Brock Purdy coming into the 49ers, where it was handed to him, where Jalen Hurts earned it in 2021. Jalen Hurts earned his quarterback job in 2021, right? That's why I really had to have gotten this out the way. So, with his number one receiver being Devontae Smith goes for 916 yards, which is his rookie season, right? Devontae Smith goes for 916 yards. Dallas Goedert gets 830 and 56 receptions. Kes Watkins gets 647, 43 receptions. Touchdown-wise, Devontae Smith leads with 5. So that's a great rookie campaign for Devontae Smith. But that was your best receiver. I think everybody here knows that rookie Devontae Smith was not a number one receiver. This is the year that Jalen Reagor actually was supposed to be one of the better receivers in the league. Jalen Reagor was dropping a ton, right? Jalen Reagor was dropping a ton, like an absolute ton. Jalen Reagor had, I'm pretty sure, had the most drops in the league this year. Went for 300 yards, and they had to trade him the next season. That's how bad he was. And that was their number one receiver going into the year. It was Jalen Reagor. It wasn't Devontae Smith. It was Jalen Reagor. They were expecting him Jalen Reagor is the one who they drafted over Justin Jefferson. They were expecting him to be that dude. They were expecting him to be that great, and he wasn't. Right? He wasn't. This is before the Eagles' defense became that elite. They were not the number. This is not like they went 9-8 because their defense was number one. Their defense was not number one. They were not getting sacks this year. They were not getting sacks like that. Nobody on that defense had above 10 sacks. Nobody on that defense had above 8 sacks, in fact. Nobody on that defense had above 9 tackles for loss. Right? So that defense was not a dominant defense to where they're going 9-8 because they're a defense. They had one of the best running games in the league, and that is predominantly, or the main reason of that being Jalen Hurts, who stepped into that situation and stepped up. So he earns his spot, and now we're on to 2022 season where he finally earned his spot. Now they make it to the Super Bowl. He gives you one of the best Super Bowl performances by a quarterback ever, top 5 for sure. This year they bring in A.J. Brown because the year before he's proven that he can win games for you. So now you bring in the number 1 receiver. He's not stepping into a situation where it's all handed to him and it's his system. He was the system. He made the system. The system was built around him. So now in 2022, they bring in A.J. Brown to complement him. That's what they did. It wasn't he just stepped into it. No. He turned that franchise around from going 4-11 to 9-8. So now they're complimenting him by bringing him a star wide receiver. So they bring in A.J. Brown. They go 14-3. The defense is dominant. Let's stop acting like Jalen Hurts was a bum quarterback that just came into a situation, or was a bad quarterback. He played well at Oklahoma in college. Let's stop acting like he was a bum quarterback that just came in and everything was handed to him. No, he earned what he had. He earned what he got. He earned bringing in A.J. Brown to help him out. He earned that. Now look how it worked out. They make it to the Super Bowl. This year, 2022, the defense balls out. Now you got 5 dudes over 10 sacks. Hassan Reddick with 16. Javon Hargrave with 11. Josh Sweat with 11. Brandon Graham with 11. Heck, Fletcher Cox is 32. He's giving you 7. Right? Now you have 5 people over 9 tackles for loss. So the defense improves. Your highest tackler, T.J. Edwards, that improves from last season. Everything improves. Offense heavily improved. Defense heavily improved. This was not a perfect situation. This was a rebuild. They built this up. Props to their GM. Now we're going into this season. I've been hearing a lot of talks. Jalen Hurts isn't all that good, right? So let's just look at Jalen Hurts' stats real quick for 2022 season. Let's look at his stats, right? So he gives you 760 rushing yards. Once again, he plays 15 games. Remember, he got injured, so he could have easily gone for 800. He could have easily gone for 800 something. He was second in MVP race. He gave you 800. So he could have gave you 800 rushing yards. Easily could have gone for 4,000 passing yards if he played every game, but he didn't. He gave you 3,700 passing yards, 760 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns through the air, 6 interceptions, right? 1% interception percentage, 6 interceptions. And if we're looking at his rushing and receiving, it heavily improves this year. Miles Sanders has a breakout year with 1,300 yards. Receiving wise, A.J. Brown gives you 1,500. Devontae Smith gives you 1,200. Dallas Goedert gives you 700. Everything's improved. Everything goes up. Everything. And if we go up into this season, where they're trying to compare him to Dak. I've seen people trying to compare Jalen Hurts to Dak. Jalen Hurts is miles ahead of Dak, ladies and gentlemen. In my opinion, he's a way better scrambler than Dak. In my opinion, at this point in his career, Jalen Hurts is a better improviser. Jalen Hurts has a better deep ball. Jalen Hurts is more accurate, in my opinion, is a more accurate quarterback. One thing I will say is Dak has better pocket presence. And that's it. That's it. Jalen Hurts is outperforming Dak, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts is showing up in the big games. Like, we can talk about the QB sneak all we want. That can only happen. That can't happen with any other quarterback. Other teams have tried it. Also, their own offensive line, I will give them props. So, like I said, man, that's really all I have to say in the Jalen Hurts situation. He just balled out versus the Chiefs last night. Had to stay up till 4 a.m. to watch that one. He just balled out versus the Chiefs last night. The defense is still balling. The Eagles still have one of the best defenses in the league. Nothing's changed. A.J. Brown already has 1,000 yards, 1,000 and something yards through 10 games. Devontae Smith is balling. Everybody's eating. Everybody's eating. And I want y'all to realize that the main cause is because of Jalen Hurts. This was a process. This was a rebuild. This was not a situation where he came into and started thriving. Thank you guys for listening.